My life started at 10. And when I say that, that is my first memory of life on this planet. Let me tell you that story. The circus had just turned up in town. I was so excited. Me, my brother, and his best mate ran down to the circus to get some of the fun. We went to the first person we saw at the big top and said, "Look, can we have a look around?" He said, "Yeah, you help yourself." It was 1980. You could actually walk around a circus with wild animals. There was no health and safety. It was brilliant. I made my way into the big top, saw nothing that really excited me. But then I was drawn to a slit in the side of the canvas. I don't know why I was compelled to go there. I was just compelled to go there. I got to the canvas and I pulled the curtain to one side. The sun hit me straight in the eyes and blurred my vision for a second, but as soon as my vision cleared, I saw something in front of me that was far better than the circus. A baby chimp. Now, to me, I was brought up with cats and dogs, so to see a baby chimp was incredible. Also, the fact that I was totally infatuated with Tarzan that I'd seen that day. So to me, that was like a little piece of Hollywood straight in front of me. Cautiously, I made my way to this animal. Before I knew it, I was stood over it, looking down. It looked up at me with these big, beautiful brown eyes. It sounds weird, but we connected. It was incredible. Next thing, the animal goes down, it starts picking something off the floor and passing it to me. I thought, what's that? Realized it was food. This creature is now feeding me. I was like this baby David Attenborough. It was an incredible moment I will never forget. Anyway, we were going through the motions. It may have been 30 seconds, but it was timeless. I wasn't going to eat that food. That's disgusting, but I slid it down my cheek and threw it over my shoulder. The serenity of that moment was broken like a fighter jet cutting through the sky as I heard a roar I will never forget. And in the shadows behind the baby chimp, something was moving. That something that was moving was clearly mummy or daddy that was not happy that I was a threat to its young. And it was making its way to me at Mach 10. My feet were glued to the floor. I couldn't move. But just as the moment I had the courage to do something, this creature pounced through the air, about 20 foot. All of a sudden, the blue sky turned to black as it landed on my chest, pinned me to the floor. And that's when the first fist came down. Smash! Knocked everything out of me. I had nothing left. Then another fist and another fist. It was like a drummer in a rock band, and I was the drum. Next, it started to bite me, and I could feel the flesh being ripped from my arms. Blood was flying everywhere, and I realized I was going to die. My life flashed in front of me. It didn't take long. I was 10. But in that moment, I heard a voice. And that voice said, "It doesn't end today." And I found something. I found this inner strength, this something I never knew was there, this something I never knew I had. And it was that inner strength that then gave me the courage to retaliate. I managed to wrestle the chimp enough so I could get my knee up to my chest. I smashed my foot out as hard as possible, connected with the chimp's chest, knocked it to the floor. That was my escape. And I was almost on the floor like an upside-down spider, scurrying away as I could see the chimp get to its feet, even angrier than ever. It came at me at Mach 20 with one sole intention: to end my life. And I kid you not, it was that far away before the chain caught it. If it wasn't for that chain, I wouldn't be here today. Now, the reason I tell that story is for a few reasons. First of all, Breakpoint. Breakpoint is the moment you step into short-term discomfort for long-term gain. That for me, that day, was the fact my short-term discomfort was fighting a 50-kilogram chimp at 10 years old. The long-term gain of that is the fact I'm here today. Secondly, regardless of the situation, we always have a choice. Even if you can't see a way out, you always have a choice. But then thirdly, that internal strength, that power, that's something I found would then help me pass Special Forces selection. It would then help me get through my mental health battles later on down the track. I untapped something which was incredible. Special Forces for me, after 5 years in the Royal Marines, I decided to go for Special Forces selection. Didn't really have the belief that I could pass Special Forces selection. But I put my foot forward anyway. I stepped into that short-term discomfort with a clearly defined goal in front of me. 1 out of 5 that passed that course of 250, 6 months later. The hardest thing I've ever chosen to do. But honestly, for me, joining the military, it was a dream I had since I was 14. I wanted to be at war every day. You're pleased to know that's changed. I wanted to be at war every day. And the Special Forces, I thought, was the answer to that. When I joined the Special Forces, I realized it wasn't my purpose. It wasn't for me. Something just did not connect. And I couldn't work that out. I didn't realize what the word purpose meant. I didn't even have that in my vocabulary. So I managed to leave after 11 years service, and I said I'd never go back to a war zone. Shortly afterwards, there's me in a war zone. It was the cash. The cash took me there, and after having a military wage, I earned more there in 2 months than I earned a whole year in the Special Forces. I call it fool's gold now because I would never compromise this or this for a job like that. I managed to leave Iraq because I realized if I wasn't going to leave, I was going to leave in a box. I was attacked on a regular basis and I didn't have the support elements. I'd lived every day like it was its last. And that, for me, the negative side of that was the fact that I was drinking heavily. Not when I was working, but I was drinking heavily. Even when the doors shut in the villa at night, I made sure I had a stash that I knocked myself out. I used to sleep every night with a pistol under my pillow for 4 years, not knowing if the door was going to get bashed down. I lived every day like my last. Next day, I would then start taking Valium. This is biohacking on a different level. Now, it doesn't take a mental health specialist to understand that being dependent on alcohol, being dependent on Valium, and being shot at is good for this. I can guarantee you it's not. So I had to get out. I was living in Australia at the time, and I had this dream about creating this property portfolio, creating stability in my life, making sure my arms and legs stayed where they were. I heard about something that got my attention. And that was an organization called the Grey Man, who are basically going into Southeast Asia to rescue children from human trafficking. 1.6 million kids a year in Southeast Asia alone. And here's the kidney punch, sold by their families. I couldn't get my head around that. And I wanted to change or help change the destiny of many kids' lives as possible. So I went over there, and we were doing operations on the border to rescue these kids from the satellite camps they were being held in. It was the best thing I'd ever done in my life. Every dot that never connected in the Special Forces suddenly came together. It was amazing. It's a long story, and we're not going to go there today, but this basically caused an international incident. This picture was in the papers all over the world. Cut a long story short, I had to escape out of Thailand. There was a manhunt. I managed to get across the border with my team, and we managed to get back to Australia. I was battered, broken, and bruised when I got back to Australia, more mentally than physically. Something I just found that was so incredible that I thought I was going to do for the rest of my life came crashing down. And I wasn't even being paid for that, but it was the best investment I've ever made. The power of helping other people is a gift that just keeps on giving. It is incredible. The best investment I had ever made. I hit the self-destruct button like you will not believe. I even impressed myself. Drinking, drugs, everything, anything I could get my hands on. Cigarette smoking, the lot. And I got to a really dark place. Started thinking about suicide. Easy way out. Again, I heard that voice. Ollie, it doesn't end like that. I listened to that voice, luckily. And I decided I would change the person I was. I would change the blueprint of who I was. I came back to the UK 2014, had no idea of what was ahead of me. Had no idea of the TV show that I was about to be asked to join. I had no money, no nothing. I had one dream to start my business, Breakpoint. Breakpoint is a globally identified brand recognized for the positive growth and development of others. But I was broken, and broken people break people. So how could I be that mentor to everyone else if I was broken? I locked myself away in a house, and for 3 months, I didn't know I was going away for 3 months. I just locked myself away for 3 months, focused on 3 things: mind, body, nutrition. I didn't buy any newspapers. I didn't read, I didn't watch the TV. I didn't listen to the radio. Everything I consumed here and here was of the highest quality for who I wanted to be. I did things that my peers from the Special Forces laugh at me for. I don't think anyone in this room will laugh at me for, but that was meditation, visualization, goal setting. I had no idea if that worked, but I had nothing else. Every day I visualized about being on stage in front of massive crowds, being able to help and inspire them. But when I thought about that, I lived that moment. All of my 5 senses, everything. I could feel the shirt on my back, the shoes on my feet, the watch, expensive watch, on my arm. And I went through that visualization every day. End of 3 months, nothing is happening. Still less money in the bank. And I shouted at the top of my voice, please give me something. Just let the phone ring. Please, something happen. Nothing happened. And 2 days later, I get a call from a production company wanting to do a TV show. The hairs on the back of my neck stood up. I could not believe it. And they stand up every time I tell that story. Because everything I had focused on, changing the person I was in that house, every time I visualized, I changed. I changed massively. And I was given the best opportunity in the world. I don't want to be a celebrity. I hate the word. But I'll make hay while the sun shines in regards to creating as much exposure as possible and changing as many lives as possible through my experiences and through the way I think. Now, I want to talk about what happened in that house. There's no stronger driving force in each and every one of us in this room, on this planet, than our desire for survival. Who can relate to this? You go to a networking event of people you've never met before, you are introduced to them, you walk out, and then you go, I have no idea what their names are. Anyone? Everyone. The reason you do that, and this is how strong your survival blueprint is because your brain is going through the thousands of different people you've met in your life, trying to add that picture to an emotion. When it can't match that picture to an emotion, you are on high alert. Your brain is scanning constantly. Names are not important. That's how strong it is. Our minds are programmed for survival, not success. Not how many followers you've got on Egogram. Not the house you've got, the job you've got. Survival. And we've got to really respect that primal coding. Secondly, the habit loop. We want to do what we did yesterday, and the day before that, and the day before that, because as far as our minds are concerned, when it relates to survival, it's kept us alive until today. It doesn't care if it's a good situation or a bad situation. It wants you to keep wrapped in that repeat habit loop. So when you come to make any changes, do something different in your life, it's uncharted territory. Your mind is reluctant to embrace the change. That is the ethos of Breakpoint. Embrace that change, understanding it will be uncomfortable. Otherwise, we're thrown into the repeat habit loop each time. Next, default negativity. I don't care how positive we all think we are, subconsciously our programming is negative. Take that right back to our primal coding. We're never going to remember all the great fruits we ate. We're going to remember the one bad berry that can make us sick and kill us. That's exactly how our mind works. So we're always looking for everything that could go wrong. Next, shortcut syndrome. We're always looking for the shortcut. Your brain is wired to look at something that's difficult and think, how can I shortcut that? It wants to conserve energy. It wants to go the path of least resistance. But listen or think about that. Some of you know this, but many don't. Our lives are a product of our thoughts. 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day. What do you think the dominant strain of that is? Unless we take directive action and become aware of our thoughts. Negative. Because we all have an amazing gift. And I speak from absolute experience there. I was a loser. I don't mind saying that. Head of my game. At one point, over 10 years, abusive, destructive behaviors, I was sub-zero. But I changed that, and we can all change. Understanding this stuff made me realize that we can change whatever we want in our lives. We can be who we want, do what we want. So I now think I'm good. I stopped my drinking. I don't drink anymore. I think it's the most toxic drug out there. My life's good. But then all of a sudden, I had a freak meeting with a friend. And without going into that, because it's another long story, it reminded me of the chimp. The universe was telling me there's unfinished business. When you're grounded, when you're connected, as you know, things start to happen. It's not the fact we line up the opportunities. Once we line ourselves up, the opportunities present themselves. So this came across my Instagram feed one day, Soltara, an ayahuasca experience in Costa Rica, plant medicine. Before I knew it, I was out in Costa Rica thinking, what have I got to fix? I'm good now. I don't drink. I've got a great life. I've got 5 books, all this stuff in my head. When I went to see the shaman, he said, what do you want? What's your intention? And I just said, well, I want to make sure that I don't ever push that self-destruct button again. But, and there was this stuff with the chimp. Thinking nothing of it. First time we took the medicine, all the geometry started. Ayahuasca was going to where it is needed, not where you want it. And that's a scary thought. I was presented with doorways in my vision of all the things I could resolve. But I was drawn to one door. And as I opened that door, I slowly started to see a vision at the end of the corridor. It was me, a 10-year-old boy. I was in a state of shock. I didn't want to go there. I knew what was going to happen. One thing they teach you, and it's hard for me, especially as a former Special Forces soldier, is the word surrender. 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 And finally, I made my way to the boy. I became the boy. I was me at 10 years old looking at the chimp. And we were going through those motions. It was more real than the memory I ever had. And then I heard that scream. Scream I'll never forget. I knew then I was going to go through the most horrendous attack. But it didn't happen. Something strange happened. I became the chimp. I went into the chimp and it was so real. I could feel the leaves falling off my back because I'd been laid down in the sun. I could feel the hair. I could feel everything. I was the animal and I was looking at me over my child. I was starting to roar and I was physically actually roaring in the Maloka. I could see a computer readout that said threat. It was almost like Terminator. And I was getting prepared to attack. But then I went back into the boy, and all of a sudden, one word in my head, compassion. I started to think that I was the one that went to the chimp's enclosure. For all that time that I told that story, I was the victim. The first time ever, I started to become compassionate about the chimp and had so much compassion in the fact that that mother would do anything for its child. That compassion then spread out throughout all of my life. With my wife, everything and the pressure I put on her for my business, that word compassion, that was the lesson. And then that journey finished for me. I thought, that's it, I've resolved it. Next night we went back in. I thought, what's on the plate tonight? What am I going to resolve? Same corridor, same situation. And this time I'm scraping my nails as I go down the corridor. I know what's happening. I become the boy, hoping I'm going to become the chimp, but I don't become the chimp. I see the chimp come to attack me. It pins me to the floor. And for the first time ever in my life, I go through every emotion I went through on that day. I am screaming for my mum. The emotion was insane. It was a horrible experience. But then I heard a voice say, surrender. And then I just stopped. Everything freeze framed. And I heard a voice say, what would have happened if you hadn't have retaliated that day? All of a sudden I lay down. I opened my eyes. I looked into my wife's eyes. She was looking at me, her beautiful blue eyes. And I said, don't worry, don't be afraid, come with me. I died. I went into the spirit world. I was no longer physical body. It was an amazing place. It was incredible. The sounds, everything, the feeling. It was the best place ever. I did not want to come back. I wanted to stay there. I heard a voice again. There's people that need you. I went back into the physical body, and for me, it was the death of something great, but the birth of something new. That was my experience with ayahuasca. And it was it was an epiphany. It was everything more than I expected from that whole experience. It was incredible. Listen, I don't believe I know all the answers. I'll never know all the answers. People like me, and they offload their potential to people like me and say, well, you're cut from a different cloth. That is rubbish. I bleed and breathe like everyone on this planet. I just think that I've found a different way to cut the cloth. We have to unprogram ourselves. We've all been badly educated. Let me ask you this question. Do you think if humanity was on its true path that we'd all be here? There'd be no need for these biohacking conferences, would there? But we're not on our true path. We've been educated badly. We've been programmed. We're constantly being programmed by the media. We have to switch off from that. And everyone here today is here for a reason. And that is to get away from the program and create something new that is more in line with who we're supposed to be, in true alignment with our soul. Sorry. So what are we? You ever ask yourself that question? What am I? We are a regenerating energy system that is capable of creating our outside world or outside reality through internal thought. Who gets up on a Monday and says that to themselves? We don't understand the power of who we are. Or the mass populations have no idea who they are. They just think they're lumps of meat and gravy, but walk around, eat, work, repeat. We have so much potential, so much untapped potential. And one thing I'll say is that everyone with this knowledge, everyone in this crowd that knows that we're not on our true path must embrace everybody. We must embrace all that are seeking that alternative path. And even if they're not, to try and educate them a different way. There's so much division in this world today. I mean, look at what's going on in the world. Everything is done to divide us as a human species, because they know once we're together as one, we are so powerful. It's intentional. So don't hold on to your biohacking status like it's some kind of what I'm saying is don't hold on to that knowledge. Share the knowledge. Don't hold on to the biohacking like it's some kind of status. Thank you so much for your time today. It's been absolutely incredible. If you do want to hear more, please snap the QR code. I'm not here today to sell products. I think at the end of the day, when it comes to biohacking, in this day and age, it's about eliminating all the things that are not serving us. The obvious things. Get back to basics. Get rid of the seed oils. The water, we're 75% water. Do not drink from the tap. Fluoride, get rid of it. These are simple things. Sunscreen, that's the cause of cancer. This is my opinion. If you disagree, that's up to you. Thank you so much for your time today.